Hello. Okay, so I am so excited that you're here. This is the very first episode of the Living in Power vlog. This is literally my life's work, and I'm so happy to just like cozy up on the couch with you, have you here with me, and let's talk about how to live in power. This entire series is going to be dedicated to the spiritual path that I found that helped me change literally every aspect of my life for the better. And that includes my relationships, my marriage, my family life, my community life, my business. Every single aspect of my life was transformed by this path. I'm gonna share my experience with you in hopes that it translates for you and that you're able to just use my experience to create your own. Without further ado, today the topic is why vision boards do not work. And it's so much deeper than that, right? I'm not just gonna talk about vision boards. What I really wanna talk about is the fact that we go after what we want, right? You make this whole plan. You're like, I want these things. And whether you put it on a board or you don't, it doesn't matter, but we have this acquisitive nature, this acquisitive appetite that is never fed until we fill it with the one thing that could, right? So we're always going after these external things, material things. Sometimes it's, I want a brand new car, I want a brand new house, I want this type of soulmate, I want. And what's interesting is a lot of times when we do that, we create this whole plan around not really what we want, but what the world has told us that we want, that we should want. So what ends up happening is you watch movies like The Secret, right? And they tell you, Jack Canfield sits there and says, hey, if you visualize, you can have these things, which is correct. However, there's a starting point that most people miss, and it's that alignment piece. It's knowing what you want. It's understanding who you are first and knowing and determining what it is that would actually make you happy on a soul level, right? And then taking very intentional action to acquire those things. And a lot of times those things that your soul, the true you really wants, has nothing to do with material items. Now, that being said, material things are great. We live in a material world. We are souls and human bodies here to experience this whole material realm. So I don't want to label anything at all, good or bad, including material possessions, because they are neither. They're just here. It's just a part of the journey. But it is extremely difficult to acquire them. And then once they are acquired, to be happy about it and to not feel the need to continue to seek and to get, because we're still not fulfilled without first aligning with the truth of what it is that we really, really desire on a soul level, on a heartfelt level. So let's back up. How do we do this? It is so simple. It's going to blow your mind, but it is an action. It's an action step. It's something that if you don't do it, you are taking the risk of working your butt off and spending all of this time visualizing or working towards something, a goal, a material possession, an achievement that quite possibly isn't going to do it for you. So I'll give you an example. I started my whole coaching business around marketing. This was almost, I think it's 7 years now, 7 years ago. And it was called Simple Stupid Marketing. And I had this feeling like this is my passion. I know what I want to do. I know that this is it. You know, I had that gut instinct. And at some level there was, I was following the threads of joy. So like that was ultimately, if I never followed that path, if I never did these things and then also made these mistakes, I would never be where I am today. So not faulting anything, it's all for the best. It's all for my higher good. So I started with marketing and I had this whole plan laid out, and I was gonna do literally anything to be successful in it. Because in my mind, if I was successful, then I knew I could coach other people and show them how to become successful doing the same exact method. I worked so hard to get almost nowhere. And when I say nowhere, I made money, I built this thing, I had clients, but at the end of the day, I was resisting life. So I was going against the grain. I was not going with any flow. I was telling myself that this was my path and I would do anything to get there, meaning I would push people away. I would avoid events. I would ignore responsibilities. I would do what I wanted to do at the detriment of other people and myself, my own health. And it led me to a place of pure frustration. And it actually led me to one of my lowest lows. And turns out that was the best thing that ever happened to me. When everything becomes about the acquisition of something you want, and you have to convince yourself it's going to be for the best for everybody. You have to constantly tell yourself that it's going to be for the best for everybody, but the journey is so tumultuous and so torturous and so hard. That's not a good sign. That's your emotional being, that's your energetic state trying to tell you something. It's trying to tell you, hey, I think you're missing the point here. And the point is that this journey is meant to be fun. This journey is meant to be abundant, full of love, full of life, full of the experience of everything, not just what you're telling yourself that you want. So I pushed people away. I made Dom watch the baby when Roman was a baby at the time, while I worked late. And I just pushed and I pushed and I forced and I forced. And all I did was use this. I used my brain constantly to justify, rationalize, and minimize literally everything around me to tell myself that what I was doing was fine and was right and was righteous. And it almost ruined my marriage. It almost ruined my relationship with my son. It almost ruined my life. I was so stressed out. I was so bugged out all the time. I was so defensive over my business. I couldn't see what I couldn't see at the time, but I just didn't understand why it wasn't easier. And I wanted it to be so badly. The missing piece was the alignment. I was not yet aligned with my path. I thought I was. Now, yes, I started on a piece of the path that if I never had, I never would be here. So there's that. But also, I was always meant to, and I know this for a fact because nothing has been easier in my life, I was always meant to find the spiritual path, and that is what I was supposed to be teaching, not marketing. Marketing is a piece of what I teach because ultimately I am a business coach as well. I teach soul-led entrepreneurs, people who are like you, who want that depth and that weight in their life and also have a story to tell and want to share it with the world and make it their business, right? Like I am good at that marketing. I love teaching it. It comes from my heart, comes from my soul. It's easy for me. I don't have to go try to make somebody else's method my own. I don't have to fake anything. I don't have to force anything. I don't feel like a fraud. I have that to give. But at the time when I started my marketing business, I didn't have those things to give, and it frustrated me to the core. I wanted to teach people how to dig deeper, how to find their purpose so that they could turn it into their brand message. But I hadn't found my purpose yet, and it killed me. I felt like such a fraud because I was not aligned. So that brings me right back to the whole, main topic, which is why vision boards don't work. It's because we don't start with what we really want. We don't take the time to stop and ask ourselves, ask our higher selves, our real selves, not this, not our brain. Our brain is a tool. Your brain is a tool that's amazingly powerful and can bring the desires from your heart and your soul to material life, to physical form. That's what your brain is for. But your brain is not there to decide, to make the choices of what it is that would actually make you happy. You need to ask your heart that. You need to ask your soul that. You need to ultimately ask your higher self that. And so the missing piece is that alignment. It is asking first. It is asking for the vision before the visualization. So I had to go back to the drawing board. Once I started realizing that this was not working out, I started meditating. And I didn't even know what I was doing, okay? I just knew I needed to be quiet. I needed to sit and I needed to ask something, anything, for some direction, some guidance. And guess what? I got it. And it didn't come in the form that I thought it would. I begged that higher power, that higher self, every single day for direction until it came. And my best advice to you is that you do the same. Be patient. And when the answers come, follow them no matter what. No matter how afraid you are, no matter how nervous you are that things aren't going to work out the way that you want them to. Because again, if you haven't been walking the spiritual path, if you haven't been doing these practices daily and following that higher self, you might actually not even know what you want. You might not actually have a good taste for what it is that is going to actually make you happy. And if you don't, then you've just got to trust that there's something bigger than your mind, than your brain, that is going to lead you in the right direction, in the one that is going to fulfill you where nothing else will, right? Nothing external. Only this one internal power will fill you up, right? You've got to trust that this will happen for you because you and I are no different, right? Even Jesus, like I used to shudder at that word. Even the word Jesus made me go, ugh. But what I realized is Jesus was not an exception. Jesus was trying to be an example of a human being who had a very deep connection with its higher source, with his higher power, with his higher self. That's how he was able to heal people. You can do the same thing. That was the whole point, is to say that we're all the same. We are not separate. We're actually part of a whole. So if you can believe, if you don't have the belief yet, use mine. Like, I am here so full of faith because of the things that have happened in my life that I cannot explain, that I could never have made happen for myself in lifetimes, right? Just using my mind and my self-knowledge and my willpower. I could absolutely never have done them. And that's why I call them miracles, because I use something bigger than me. And it worked. It actually worked. And it actually changed literally everything. So now, once you go and you ask and you receive the answer, maybe you will go make a vision board. Maybe you're so sure about the direction that you want to receive guidance for. So maybe you have a desire to know what, you want to clarify your business vision. You want to clarify your purpose in life. You want to clarify the perfect life partner, right? You want to have a vision. You want to catch a vision. Start with the asking, right? Meditate, ask. That's actually praying. But then after you ask, let yourself receive a message. That is meditating. Let yourself receive the message. And then you can either create the vision board or you can visualize the vision that you were given without a vision board, whatever works for you, and take actions that you know will get you towards that goal, and stop taking actions that won't. And that's it. It's really that simple. So I come to you asking you to do first things first. Don't put the cart before the horse. Don't go trying to visualize and materialize something that you're not 100,000% sure that it's actually what your soul desires. Until you have that kick in the butt from the universe, be patient, wait, right? And what's gonna happen is you're going to start learning that you aren't using your mind anymore to find the answers. You're using something so much deeper, and you're going to become aligned with that depth. And that depth is going to give you everything that you ever wanted that was maybe on your initial vision board, right? The cars, the house, the lover, the children, all of the things that you want. And yet, maybe they won't have the same attachment for you anymore. You're not gonna feel the same attachment that you did when you first made your board. Okay, so I'm gonna take you back to my very first vision board. I had a black Range Rover on it. I had this huge house in Miami on the water. I had a ton of dollar bills and a diamond ring. And maybe there was more, but I forget. So it's interesting because I have a house on the water. It's not in Miami. I have a diamond ring, pretty much the same as the one that was on the vision board. I have a soulmate as my husband. And I don't have a Range Rover because I don't actually want one anymore, but I have the car of my dreams. I have my blacked out 4Runner. And I have more money than I need and more money than I ever thought I would at this point in my life. And what's interesting is none of it means what I thought it would and what it first meant to me when I made that initial vision board. The attachment isn't there anymore. I'm very aware of the fact that these are just material things and that they're not necessarily mine. And that the whole point of the journey is to find abundance and happiness and peace within first, and then naturally to become a magnet for the material equivalent to that abundance. So essentially, you become your life material becomes a direct reflection of your inner life. Your outer world becomes a direct reflection of your inner. So that's not to say if you don't have all of this stuff, like you're not doing great inside. But I can tell you that the more that you align with that abundant energy, which comes from your higher self, which comes from asking what it is that you really want, and then seeking to do actions that obtain that, because I can tell you that what you really want is probably become the person that has those things happily. And that's what happens is you become happy, and that comes first, right? The happiness, the abundance, the feeling of wholeness, that comes first. The material things come second. And at that point, you're not even really, it's not like this, it's not at the forefront of your mind where you're like, that's all I want. It's like, no, because it just doesn't hold the same type of value for you anymore. It's valuable because it makes your life more fun, more enjoyable, but it's not there to prove something. It's not there to give you status. You don't care about your status anymore. It's really just there to help you be more effective in your purpose. And that's it. And that's the fun part. And it's like, oh, and then your husband is more of like a symbol of love and somebody who is showing you how to become more of yourself as well, because he now is a mirror for me to see when I'm being vulnerable and when I'm not. And like, those are the things I want. I want to be myself in all of the ways. So now the material things that I have in my life, the people, the traveling, the money, the home, the car, whatever, these are just things now. These are vehicles for me to I don't want to say the word use, but to utilize in order to get even closer to my higher self. And the more that I do that, the more that they benefit as well, right? Like, especially the people. It's so fun when you start using the power within yourself to realize what it is that you really want, to become the type of person that gets the things that you really want. And then to realize that what you really want is just to be happy. and to be your real self. And all of the other things are just a bonus that actually make you more effective at sharing that real self with others so that they're able to do the same thing. And then you realize like the goal of life is that. It's so cool. Now, if you want a guide on how to do this visioning process before you make a vision board, before you go and try to visualize any aspect of your life into existence, I have a download, and you can find it in the notes of this video blog on my website. And again, if you loved this video and you're excited to see more, please subscribe and please share it. I would be so grateful. And also I am just so excited to be here sharing this stuff because it's changed my life and I know that it can change yours. So that is why vision boards don't work. All right, I will see you guys next time. Have a great, great day. Bye.